Sharks, known for their powerful jaws and swift attacks, can turn a calm sea into a scene of terror in moments. Equally dangerous are barracudas with their lightning-fast strikes, and giant groupers whose immense strength can challenge even the most seasoned fishermen. From unexpected encounters to life-and-death battles, discover the 6 most harrowing sea creature attacks that showcase the raw, unpredictable power of the ocean. In the summer of 2012, David Thompson, a passionate dog lover, set out for a day on his boat with his energetic Labrador Max. They were off the coast of California, near the scenic Point Reyes National Seashore. The sun was bright, and the sky was clear. David, 35, had planned this trip as a way to relax and enjoy the ocean with Max, his loyal companion. Point Reyes, known for its rugged coastline and rich marine life, was a perfect spot for their adventure. The waters were teeming with diverse species, including seals, dolphins, and various kinds of sharks. Among these were reef sharks, which were common in the area. Reef sharks were generally not aggressive toward humans, but their presence was always a reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature. David had always been fascinated by the sea. Growing up in San Francisco, he spent his childhood exploring the beaches and learning about marine life. His love for the ocean was matched by his bond with Max. The two were inseparable, sharing countless adventures together. Max, a golden Labrador with boundless energy, loved the water as much as David did. Today was another chance for them to enjoy the ocean together. On the morning of July 10, 2012, David and Max set off from the marina, the boat cutting through the calm waters with ease. The day was perfect for a boat trip. David had packed a cooler with snacks and drinks, and Max was eager to play. As they sailed further from the shore, the serenity of the ocean enveloped them. David anchored the boat in a quiet spot and started preparing for a day of relaxation and fun. He and Max played fetch on the deck, with David throwing a tennis ball and Max enthusiastically retrieving it. The playful atmosphere was infectious, and both man and dog were enjoying the moment. Max's excitement sometimes got the better of him. While fetching the ball, he often skidded across the deck, his paws scrabbling for traction. David watched, amused, as Max dashed after the ball. It was during one of these moments of play that the accident happened. Max, in his eagerness, lunged for the ball and collided with David, who lost his balance and tumbled overboard. The shock of the cold water took David by surprise. He surfaced quickly, sputtering and trying to get his bearings. Max barked from the deck, his eyes wide with confusion. David swam towards the boat, trying to calm Max down. But as he moved, he noticed something that made his heart skip a beat. A group of reef sharks was circling nearby. Drawn by the commotion, the curious sharks approached, their sleek bodies gliding through the water with unsettling ease. The once playful atmosphere had turned tense. David knew he had to stay calm. Panicking would only make things worse. He took a deep breath, trying to focus on the situation. The sharks were not attacking, but their presence was unnerving. David had to think quickly. He started to backstroke slowly toward the boat, keeping his movements smooth and deliberate. His mind raced with possible solutions, each second feeling like an eternity. Max, still barking, seemed to sense the urgency. David needed to get Max to fetch the rope that was coiled on the deck. He waved his arms, trying to signal Max to grab the rope. Max tilted his head, watching David intently. After a few tense moments, Max seemed to understand. He grabbed the end of the rope with his teeth and stood at the edge of the deck, ready to help. David continued to backstroke, his eyes never leaving the circling sharks. He could see their fins cutting through the water, a stark reminder of the danger. He felt a surge of fear but pushed it down, focusing on getting back to the boat. Max's barking was both a comfort and a distraction. David could see the rope dangling from Max's mouth, just within reach. As David neared the boat, one of the sharks made a closer pass. The sleek predator glided by, its eyes cold and calculating. David's heart pounded in his chest. He had to remain calm. He knew that sudden movements could provoke the sharks. He extended his arm slowly, reaching for the rope. His fingers brushed against it, but the boat rocked slightly, pulling the rope just out of reach. Max, sensing David's struggle, pulled back on the rope, dragging it closer to the water's edge. David made another attempt, this time gripping the rope firmly. He felt a rush of relief but knew he wasn't safe yet. He had to climb back onto the boat without alarming the sharks. David used the rope to pull himself closer to the boat. His arms ached from the effort, but he didn't let go. The sharks continued to circle, their curiosity not yet sated. He kicked his legs gently, propelling himself upwards while maintaining his grip on the rope. Each movement was measured, his mind focused on getting back aboard. Finally, David reached the side of the boat. He grabbed the railing with one hand, still holding the rope with the other. Max stood at the edge, his eyes fixed on David. With a final burst of energy, David hauled himself up, swinging a leg over the side. He rolled onto the deck, breathing heavily but grateful to be out of the water. Max dropped the rope and rushed to David's side, licking his face and wagging his tail. David hugged Max, his heart still racing from the ordeal. He glanced back at the water where the sharks were now dispersing, their interest in the boat fading. The danger had passed, but the experience had left a lasting impression on David. He sat on the deck, catching his breath and processing what had just happened. The playful outing had turned into a life-and-death struggle, testing his resolve and his bond with Max. David realized how quickly things could change in the ocean and how a simple accident could lead to a dangerous situation. In January 2010, Emma Green, a dedicated marine biologist, embarked on a research expedition in the icy waters of Antarctica. Emma, 34, had devoted her life to studying marine life in some of the harshest environments on Earth. This trip to the Weddell Sea was part of a larger project to understand the behaviors and ecosystems of Antarctic marine animals. The Weddell Sea, located off the coast of Antarctica, is known for its frigid temperatures and thick ice flows. The region is home to a variety of marine life, including penguins, seals, and whales. Among the most formidable inhabitants of these waters is the leopard seal. Leopard seals are apex predators known for their powerful jaws and aggressive behavior. They are one of the few seals that will actively hunt other warm-blooded animals, making them both fascinating and intimidating subjects for study. On the morning of January 15, 2010, Emma prepared for a day of diving near an ice floe. The weather was clear, but the cold was biting. She donned her dry suit, checked her oxygen tank, and ensured her underwater camera was functioning. Her research vessel, the Polar Explorer, was anchored nearby, providing a safe haven in these treacherous waters. Emma's goal for the day was to observe the behavior of seals around the ice floes. She was particularly interested in the interactions between leopard seals and their prey. Despite the risks, Emma was excited about the opportunity to gather valuable data. The icy landscape was both beautiful and foreboding, a stark reminder of the environment she was working in. As she entered the water, the cold enveloped her, even through the protective layers of her suit. The underwater world was a stunning array of blue and white, with icebergs looming like silent giants. Schools of fish darted around her, and she could hear the distant calls of whales. It was a surreal and otherworldly experience, one that few people ever had the chance to witness. Emma swam slowly, her movements deliberate and careful. She knew that in these waters, any encounter with a leopard seal could be dangerous. She had studied their behavior extensively and knew that they were curious and intelligent, often investigating divers with a mix of curiosity and aggression. As she approached an ice floe, she spotted a large leopard seal in the distance. The seal moved with grace, its sleek body cutting through the water effortlessly. Emma felt a mix of excitement and caution. She began to film the seal, captivated by its fluid movements. The seal, noticing her presence, started to swim closer. Emma's heart quickened. She knew this could be a rare opportunity to observe the seal up close. The seal's curiosity soon turned into something more ominous. It began to circle Emma, its movements becoming more deliberate. She could feel the tension in the water. The seal's eyes locked onto hers, and she knew she had to stay calm. Any sudden movements could provoke an attack. Emma kept her breathing steady, her mind racing with thoughts on how to handle the situation. She knew she needed to appear non-threatening while also preparing to defend herself if necessary. The seal's powerful body moved with precision, each pass bringing it closer to her. Emma could see the sharp teeth in its open mouth, a stark reminder of the danger she was in. The leopard seal continued to circle Emma, its movements increasingly menacing. Her heart pounded in her chest as she tried to remain calm. She knew that panicking would only make things worse. The seal's sleek body moved with terrifying grace, and its eyes remained fixed on her. Suddenly, the seal lunged at Emma, its powerful jaws snapping inches from her arm. She instinctively kicked back, using her fins to propel herself away from the aggressive predator. The seal did not retreat but followed her, its curiosity now clearly turning into aggression. Emma's mind raced with the knowledge she had about leopard seal behavior. She knew she had to use her diving skills to avoid its sharp teeth and powerful jaws. Emma twisted her body, trying to present as small a target as possible. The seal lunged again, and she narrowly avoided its teeth. Her underwater camera was still in her hand, and she used it to push the seal away. The seal recoiled momentarily, but then came at her again. Emma could feel the cold water seeping into her suit where the seal's teeth had grazed her. Desperation set in as Emma realized she needed to get back to the safety of her research vessel. She began to swim towards the surface, her movements deliberate and controlled. The seal continued its pursuit, its powerful body easily matching her pace. Emma used her knowledge of the environment to navigate towards a nearby ice floe, hoping to use it as a barrier between her and the seal. The seal lunged once more, and Emma felt a sharp pain as its teeth grazed her leg. She kicked out hard, managing to push the seal away. Her leg throbbed with pain, but she couldn't stop. She reached the ice floe and pulled herself onto it, the cold air hitting her face as she broke the surface. The seal circled below, its eyes still locked on her. Emma knew she couldn't stay on the ice floe for long. The seal was persistent, and she needed to get back to the Polar Explorer. She signaled for the vessel, hoping her colleagues would see her. The seal lunged at the ice, trying to reach her. Emma used her fins to push it back, her heart racing with fear. Finally, she saw the Polar Explorer approaching. Her colleagues had seen her signal and were coming to her rescue. The seal made one last attempt to reach her, but Emma managed to fend it off. The boat reached her and her colleagues pulled her aboard, her body shaking from the cold and the adrenaline. The encounter had been terrifying, a stark reminder of the dangers of working in such a harsh and unpredictable environment. Emma's knowledge and quick thinking had saved her life, but the experience left her with a deep sense of respect for the leopard seals and the icy waters they inhabited. Emma sat on the deck of the Polar Explorer, catching her breath and processing what had just happened. The frigid air felt almost warm compared to the icy water. She knew she had been lucky to escape with only minor injuries. In the summer of 2008, Liam Roberts, an experienced spearfisher, embarked on a diving expedition off the coast of Fiji. Fiji's warm waters, known for their vibrant coral reefs and abundant marine life, were a haven for spearfishers. Liam, 30, had been diving these waters for years, always in search of the elusive prized catch. On June 20, 2008, Liam set out early from his base on the island of Viti Levu. The weather was perfect, with clear skies and calm seas. His boat, the Ocean Hunter, was equipped with everything he needed for a successful day of spearfishing. As he navigated toward his favorite diving spot, he felt a sense of anticipation and excitement. The waters around Fiji were home to a diverse array of fish species, and Liam hoped to catch something special. The area Liam chose to dive in was near a reef known for its rich marine life. Schools of colorful fish darted through the coral, and larger predators often lurked nearby. Among these predators were bull sharks, known for their aggressive nature and powerful bodies. Bull sharks were common in these waters and were notorious for their territorial behavior. They could grow up to 11 feet long and were considered one of the most dangerous shark species due to their unpredictable nature. Liam anchored his boat and prepared his gear. He donned his wetsuit, checked his spear gun, and ensured his knife was securely strapped to his leg. The underwater world was a familiar place for Liam, but he never took its dangers lightly. Every dive required focus and respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. As Liam descended into the clear blue water, he felt the familiar sense of calm that diving always brought him. The sunlight filtered through the water, creating a mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. The reef below was a vibrant tapestry of colors and movement. Schools of fish swam around him, seemingly unperturbed by his presence. Liam moved with practiced ease, his eyes scanning the reef for a suitable target. After some time, he spotted a large grouper hiding among the coral. It was a perfect catch. Liam aimed his spear gun and fired, hitting the fish with precision. The grouper struggled briefly before succumbing. Liam swam towards his catch, securing it to his belt. As he did, he noticed a change in the water around him. The clear blue began to cloud with the blood of the fish, a sight that sent a shiver down his spine. He knew that the scent of blood could attract predators. His thoughts immediately turned to the bull sharks that were known to patrol these waters. He had encountered them before, but never under such potentially dangerous circumstances. Liam's senses heightened, and he became acutely aware of his surroundings. The tranquility of the underwater world was abruptly shattered when Liam saw a shadow moving swiftly towards him. A bull shark, drawn by the scent and vibrations, was approaching with alarming speed. The shark's powerful body and determined movements left no doubt in Liam's mind that he was now in grave danger. The bull shark charged at Liam, its eyes locked onto him. The serene dive had transformed into a life-or-death struggle. Liam's heart pounded as he gripped his spear gun, ready to defend himself. The shark's aggression was unmistakable, and he knew that staying calm and focused was his only chance of survival. As the shark closed in, Liam aimed his spear gun and fired. The spear struck the shark but only grazed its side, causing it to thrash in pain and anger. The shark circled back more aggressive than before. Liam's mind raced. He needed to use his environment and skills to his advantage. The shark lunged again, and Liam swam towards a cluster of coral, using it as a barrier between himself and the predator. The shark collided with the coral, momentarily stunned. Liam seized the opportunity to reload his spear gun, his hands trembling with adrenaline. He knew he had to be quick. The shark recovered and charged once more. This time, Liam aimed for the shark's more vulnerable underbelly. He fired, and the spear lodged deep into the shark's flesh. The bull shark thrashed violently, blood clouding the water around them. Liam's training kicked in. He swam towards the surface, his lungs burning for air. He couldn't afford to look back. Just as he thought he was out of immediate danger, the shark made another desperate lunge. Liam felt a sharp pain as the shark's teeth grazed his leg. He kicked out with all his strength, using his fins to propel himself upward. His vision blurred from the pain and the lack of oxygen, but he pushed on, driven by sheer willpower. Liam broke the surface, gasping for air. He saw his boat, the ocean hunter, just a few meters away. The shark's attack had left him shaken and bleeding, but he couldn't stop now. Using his remaining strength, he swam towards the boat, each stroke a battle against the pain and exhaustion. He reached the boat and hoisted himself over the side, collapsing onto the deck. His leg throbbed where the shark had bitten him, and his body shook from the adrenaline and cold. He glanced back at the water, half expecting the bull shark to follow, but the predator had retreated, driven away by its injuries. Liam lay on the deck, catching his breath and processing the harrowing experience. The encounter had tested his skills and resolve like never before. He had faced one of the ocean's most formidable predators and survived. The serene underwater world had revealed its darker side, reminding him of the constant balance between beauty and danger. As he tended to his wounds, Liam felt a profound respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. The bull shark had acted on instinct, driven by the scent of blood and the vibrations in the water. Liam knew he had been fortunate enough to escape. The experience would stay with him, a reminder of the unpredictable power of the sea. In the summer of 2006, Olivia Hart, a passionate surfer, spent her days riding the waves off the coast of Australia. The sunlit beaches of Byron Bay, a town renowned for its surfing culture and picturesque views, were her playground. The crystal-clear waters and consistent swells made it a favorite spot for surfers from around the world. On the morning of January 15, 2006, Olivia woke up with excitement. The forecast promised perfect waves, and she was eager to hit the water. She grabbed her surfboard, applied sunscreen, and headed out. The beach was already bustling with activity. Surfers, swimmers, and sunbathers filled the sands, enjoying the beautiful day. Olivia waved to her friends, Jake and Mia, who were setting up their boards nearby. They had all planned to surf together and make the most of the ideal conditions. Olivia paddled out, feeling the cool water, a refreshing contrast to the warm sun. She felt a deep connection to the ocean, the rhythm of the waves calming her mind. The waves were perfect, and Olivia effortlessly caught wave after wave, her body in harmony with the sea. The morning passed in a blissful blur of sun, salt, and surf. As she waited for the next big wave, Olivia's thoughts drifted to the marine life beneath her. The waters around Byron Bay were home to a variety of sea creatures. Dolphins often played in the surf, and the occasional shark sighting was not unheard of. But it was the stingrays that fascinated Olivia the most. Giant stingrays, with their wide, flat bodies and long, barbed tails, glided gracefully along the ocean floor. Though generally peaceful, they could become defensive if startled. The water sparkled as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Olivia spotted a particularly big wave forming in the distance. She paddled hard to catch it, her heart pounding with excitement. As the wave lifted her, she stood up on her board, riding the crest with skill and confidence. The exhilaration of the ride filled her senses, the rush of the wave pushing her forward. Suddenly, she felt a jolt beneath her board. She had collided with something large hidden just below the surface. Before she could react, a searing pain shot through her leg. Olivia looked down to see a giant stingray thrashing in the water, its barbed tail having struck her. The stingray, startled and defensive, whipped its tail again before darting away into the depths. The tranquil surfing session had turned into a nightmare. The pain in Olivia's leg was overwhelming, and she struggled to stay on her board. Blood mixed with the salt water, a stark reminder of the severity of her injury. She knew she had to get to shore quickly. Olivia's instincts took over as she began to paddle back towards the shore, each stroke sending waves of pain through her body. She glanced around, trying to signal for help. Jake and Mia, who were nearby, saw the commotion and immediately paddled over. They reached her side in seconds, their faces filled with concern. Seeing the severity of the situation, Jake took Olivia's arm and helped steady her on the board, while Mia paddled ahead to alert the lifeguards. The beach seemed miles away as Olivia fought to stay conscious, her vision blurring from the pain and exertion. The taste of salt water filled her mouth, and the sun's glare was harsh on her eyes. But she focused on reaching the shore. Mia's shouts reached the lifeguards, who sprang into action. They grabbed a rescue board and sprinted into the water. By the time they reached Olivia, Jake was already supporting most of her weight. Together, they carefully lifted her onto the rescue board and started paddling towards the beach as fast as they could. The pain in Olivia's leg was excruciating, and she could feel the venom from the stingray's barb spreading through her system. Her leg throbbed with each beat of her heart. The lifeguards kept her talking, trying to keep her awake and alert. They knew that keeping her conscious was crucial. When they finally reached the shore, a crowd had gathered, drawn by the urgent activity. The lifeguards lifted Olivia onto the sand, where they immediately began administering first aid. They wrapped her leg tightly to slow the bleeding and applied pressure to the wound. Olivia winced with pain but tried to remain still. An ambulance had been called, and within minutes, paramedics arrived. They assessed Olivia's condition and quickly prepared her for transport. As she was lifted onto the stretcher, she could see the concerned faces of Jake, Mia, and the other surfers who had gathered. Their support gave her a sense of comfort amid the chaos. The ride to the hospital felt like an eternity. The pain was relentless, and Olivia's mind raced with thoughts of the injury and its potential consequences. The paramedics worked efficiently, administering pain relief and monitoring her vital signs. They reassured her that she was in good hands. But the fear of the unknown lingered. At the hospital, doctors and nurses moved quickly to treat Olivia's wound. The barbed sting had caused significant damage, and the venom needed to be neutralized. The medical team cleaned the wound thoroughly and administered anti-venom to counteract the toxins. Olivia's pain began to subside as the medications took effect, but the ordeal was far from over. As dawn broke, Olivia felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. She knew she had been lucky to escape with her life. The experience had left her with a newfound respect for the sea and its inhabitants. The stingray had acted on instinct, just as she had. Their worlds had collided, leaving both startled and defensive. In the summer of 2004, Alex Walters, a novice diver, embarked on an adventure to explore the vibrant coral reefs of the Caribbean. The clear waters off the coast of Bonaire, an island in the Dutch Caribbean, were renowned for their rich marine life and stunning underwater landscapes. For Alex, this trip was a dream come true. On June 5, 2004, Alex awoke with a mix of excitement and nerves. The day was sunny and the water was calm, perfect conditions for his first real diving experience. He had spent months preparing, taking diving classes, and learning about the underwater world. Now he was finally ready to put his skills to the test. Alex's dive guide, Carlos, was a seasoned diver with years of experience in these waters. He had reassured Alex that the reefs around Bonaire were some of the safest and most beautiful places to dive. As they prepared their gear on the boat, Carlos went over the plan once more, emphasizing safety and the importance of staying calm. The waters around Bonaire were home to a diverse array of marine life. Among the most notable inhabitants were the barracudas. These sleek, predatory fish were known for their speed and sharp teeth. While generally not aggressive towards humans, barracudas could be curious and were sometimes attracted to shiny objects. Carlos had warned Alex about this, advising him to avoid wearing anything that might catch their attention. With their equipment checked and ready, Alex and Carlos slipped into the water. The cool embrace of the Caribbean Sea enveloped them as they descended towards the reef. The underwater world was a mesmerizing display of colors and movement. Coral formations teemed with life, from tiny fish darting through crevices to larger species gliding gracefully by. Alex was in awe. Every direction he looked revealed something new and fascinating. The reef was alive with activity, a bustling ecosystem that seemed worlds away from the surface. He felt a sense of wonder and tranquility, his initial nerves melting away as he became absorbed in the beauty around him. As they explored, Alex's eyes caught sight of a large barracuda lurking in the distance. The fish was almost motionless, its sleek body blending with the shadows of the reef. Alex felt a thrill of excitement mixed with a hint of apprehension. He remembered Carlos's advice about barracudas and decided to keep his distance while observing the impressive creature. The barracuda seemed uninterested at first. Its attention was focused elsewhere. Alex continued to marvel at the underwater scenery, his confidence growing with each passing moment. He moved carefully, mindful of the delicate coral and the creatures that called it home. Suddenly, a flash of silver caught the corner of Alex's eye. He glanced down and realized that the reflective surface of his diving equipment had caught the sunlight. The barracuda, now alerted by the glint, turned its gaze towards Alex. His heart skipped a beat as the fish began to move, its powerful body propelling it closer. The barracuda's approach was swift and purposeful. Alex's excitement turned to terror as he realized the predator was heading straight for him. He remembered Carlos's advice to stay calm, but the fear was overwhelming. The fish's sharp teeth and intense eyes were now alarmingly close. Instinctively, Alex raised his arms to shield himself, the movement startling the barracuda. It veered off at the last second, circling him instead. Alex's mind raced as he tried to recall his training. He knew he had to find cover, and quickly. The coral formations nearby offered some protection, but navigating through them required precision. The barracuda made another pass, this time brushing against Alex's leg. The touch sent a jolt of fear through his body. He kicked hard, propelling himself towards the nearest coral outcrop. The barracuda followed, its movements quick and agile. Alex reached the coral and pressed himself against it, trying to make himself as small and uninteresting as possible. The barracuda circled again, its curiosity not yet sated. Alex's breathing was rapid, and the sound of his pulse was loud in his ears. He tried to control his movements, knowing that sudden actions could provoke the fish. The coral provided some cover, but the barracuda was relentless, darting in and out of the crevices. In a moment of desperation, Alex remembered his dive knife. He slowly reached for it, keeping his movements deliberate. The knife was a last resort, but he needed to be prepared. The barracuda made another pass, and Alex raised the knife defensively. The fish seemed to sense the threat and paused, its eyes fixed on the blade. Carlos, who had been keeping a watchful eye on Alex from a distance, saw the danger and began to approach. He moved carefully, not wanting to startle the barracuda further. Alex saw Carlos coming and felt a surge of relief. He knew he wasn't alone in this fight. The barracuda made one final aggressive lunge. Alex braced himself, but Carlos intervened, using his spear to create a barrier between Alex and the fish. The barracuda, confronted by the new threat, hesitated. Carlos gestured for Alex to move towards him, maintaining the defensive stance. With careful, controlled movements, Alex edged away from the coral and towards Carlos. The barracuda, now facing two opponents, began to lose interest. It circled once more before finally retreating into the deeper waters of the reef. The immediate danger had passed, but Alex's heart was still pounding. Carlos signaled for them to ascend, and Alex followed, his body trembling with adrenaline. As they broke the surface, the bright sunlight and fresh air were a stark contrast to the dark, tense moments below. Alex clung to the side of the boat, his mind reeling from the encounter. They climbed aboard, and Carlos immediately checked on Alex, ensuring he was unharmed. The reality of what had just happened began to sink in. Alex had faced a predator and survived. His diving skills and quick thinking tested their limits. The boat ride back to shore was quiet, Alex lost in his thoughts. The vibrant, mesmerizing world of the reef had shown its darker side. The day had started with excitement and wonder, but had turned into a test of courage and survival. Alex's first dive in the Caribbean was an experience he would never forget, a powerful lesson in the balance between beauty and danger in the underwater world. In the summer of 2002, a group of fishermen set out for a day of deep-sea fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf, known for its rich marine life and vast expanse, was a prime location for fishing enthusiasts. On this particular trip, the group aimed to catch a giant grouper, one of the most powerful fish in these waters. The group consisted of Tom Weaver, Jack Lawson, and Mike Harris. They had been friends since childhood and had shared countless fishing adventures. Tom, the oldest at 40, was the most experienced. Jack and Mike, both in their late 30s, were skilled fishermen in their own right. Their boat, SeaQuest, was equipped with everything they needed for a successful day on the water. On the morning of July 12, 2002, the group set out from their base in Galveston, Texas. The weather was perfect, with clear skies and a gentle breeze. They were excited and optimistic about the day's prospects. The Gulf of Mexico was known for its diverse marine life, including grouper, snapper, and tuna. Groupers, in particular, were prized catches due to their size and strength. These massive fish could grow up to 800 pounds and were known for their powerful, relentless fights. The fishermen navigated their boat to a spot known for its abundant marine life. They had spent weeks planning this trip, studying maps and gathering intel from other fishermen. As they anchored the boat, they prepared their gear and reviewed their strategy. They knew that catching a giant grouper would be no easy task. It required patience, strength, and teamwork. The sun climbed higher in the sky as they cast their lines into the deep blue water. The anticipation was palpable. Hours passed with only a few nibbles. The men chatted and enjoyed the camaraderie, but their eyes never left their lines. The sea was calm, and the occasional splash of a jumping fish broke the surface. They knew that at any moment they could hook something big. Just as the afternoon heat began to take its toll, Tom felt a powerful tug on his line. His heart raced as he tightened his grip on the rod. He signaled to Jack and Mike, who sprang into action. The line pulled tautly, and Tom could feel the raw power of the fish on the other end. It was a giant grouper, and it was putting up a fight. The men braced themselves as the fish dove deep, pulling the boat dangerously close to the water's edge. The grouper's strength was immense, and the fishermen struggled to maintain their footing. Tom's muscles strained as he fought to reel it in, his face set in determination. Jack and Mike steadied the boat, their own hands ready to assist. The battle with the giant grouper had begun, and it would test their endurance and skill like never before. The giant grouper's power was overwhelming. As the fish dove deeper, the tension on Tom's line increased. He felt the strain in his arms and back, each muscle working to keep the rod steady. The boat rocked with the movements of the fish, and the water churned around them. Jack and Mike stood ready, their eyes fixed on the water, waiting for the right moment to help. The grouper pulled with such force that the boat's edge dipped dangerously close to the water. Tom knew that if the fish succeeded in pulling them overboard, the situation could become deadly. He gritted his teeth and tightened his grip, his mind focused on the task at hand. The men shouted encouragement, their voices lost in the roar of the sea and the struggle. Jack grabbed a secondary rod and cast another line, hoping to distract the fish and relieve some of the pressure on Tom's line. The grouper, sensing the new challenge, thrashed violently. The boat rocked, and the men struggled to keep their balance. Mike moved to the back of the boat, using his weight to stabilize their position. The teamwork was seamless, with each man playing his part in the battle. The grouper made another powerful dive, and Tom felt the rod bend dangerously. He adjusted his stance, using his body weight to counter the fish's pull. The line whined under the strain, and Tom knew they were in a critical moment. Jack's secondary line finally caught the fish's attention, and the grouper momentarily eased its assault on Tom's rod. Taking advantage of the brief respite, Tom reeled in as much line as he could. His arms burned with effort, but he couldn't let go. The grouper was relentless, but so were they. The fish, sensing its disadvantage, made a desperate surge towards the depths. Tom braced himself, his muscles screaming in protest, but he held firm. The struggle had lasted for what felt like an eternity, and the fishermen were exhausted. Sweat poured down their faces, mixing with the salty spray of the sea. The boat's movements became more erratic as the grouper continued its fight. The men knew that one wrong move could spell disaster. They had to stay coordinated and focused. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the giant grouper began to tire. Its movement slowed, and the tension on the line lessened. Tom, sensing the change, signaled to Jack and Mike. They moved quickly, each taking a position to assist in landing the fish. The boat stabilized as the men worked together, their hands and minds synchronized. With a final coordinated effort, they managed to bring the giant grouper to the surface. The sight of the massive fish broke the tension, and a cheer went up from the exhausted fishermen. The grouper was a testament to their skill and perseverance. Its size and strength were awe-inspiring, a reminder of the raw power of the ocean's creatures. The men carefully secured the grouper, making sure it was safely on board. They sat back, breathing heavily, their bodies aching from the struggle. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the water. The day's battle had been intense, but the reward was worth it. They had faced one of the ocean's giants and emerged victorious.